One's ready. Go!
Cool. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the ONESREADY podcast. You're in the team room. I have the CEO of DFND USA. You guys have heard us talk about DFND a lot. And now we decided to bring on Steve Burnett to come on and actually talk to us about everything, all the good things that DFND's doing and everything that you got your hands in. So I appreciate you joining us, Steve.
Oh, thanks for having me, Peaches. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us about what DFND's all about and how did you even get into it?
Well, I've been in the apparel industry for 35 years. I'm aging myself a little bit, but um, both my business partner Jeff Herdman and I have a common friend who's been in the military for a while, and we've been listening to what he had to say for a very long time, meaning probably 15 or 20 years, about the two big physical issues within the military that still stem today, which is musculoskeletal injuries and the undeployable rate and the lack of sleep.
Mm.
So, us putting our heads together, we developed a DFND, which some people, we just took the ease out, so to speak. We thought it would be a great name, for the company. And we are very compliant, 100% made in the USA, clothing manufacturer based in California. When we started the company, we really focused on really those who protect us, we wanted to protect them. And the best way we could do that is come out with products that take care of them musculoskeletal wise and sleep wise. And that's what we've done. And up until now, we feel that, it's been a long journey for us. We're in our 10th, about to hit our 10th year. And, the military, which I highly understand, has been all about the tactical side and readiness side, which we have to protect this country. But also, what we look at is the men and women who actually operate those tactical equipment, making sure that they're healthy, both mentally and physically. And so with our products, our graduated compression, proprietary, we have patents on, we've been able to reduce musculoskeletal injuries by 30%. Our sleepwear, which we can touch on, has been able to improve deep sleep and REM sleep with people, which is really a big thing because it's all about operational readiness and lethality within the military. So we really touch on those. So it's been our mission to help those who protect us.
No, that's fantastic. And the readiness piece is what's huge because there's many factors that can impact readiness for us. A lot of it's training, a lot of it's currency and proficiencies and stuff like that. And then there's the whole worldwide deployable stuff that has to do with medical kind of readiness. And I, as good and as efficient as the military is at many things, I think we miss the mark when it comes to healthcare and maybe not even healthcare. Maybe it's more of a preparedness in terms of education and a lot of times we end up going with the lowest bidder when it comes to things, and that's certainly not you guys, but it's important, and I can appreciate the fact that you're going after it. And can you go into the sleepwear, because that's, man, as somebody who, and I'll tell you right now, and I don't know what your caffeine intake is, but mine is way too high, way too high, which definitely plays a factor, right? But how does your IR sleepwear stuff work? Because it's a bit of magic. It's a little voodoo in there.
Yeah, a lot of people will say there's a lot of voodoo in
Yeah.
there when they haven't tried it. So basically, what IR sleepwear, so infrared, which is well known to reduce inflammation in the body. So what we've been able to do is we partnered with the people at Cellulent who developed the technology, the natural mineral. So what we do is we weave it into a yarn that never comes out of the garment ever. You could wash it a million times, it still will stay in there. So the technology behind it is this, is that what it is that it takes the natural mineral, absorbs your body's heat, and then turns it into infrared energy, which reduces the inflammation in your body. But during sleep, what it does is it puts your body at homeostasis. So homeostasis is perfect sleeping conditions. So essentially our IR sleepwear is a thermal regulation base layer. So what happens is that it puts you in perfect sleeping conditions, because most people that I come across in the military, it's very common. whether in their hotel, whether they're at their house is at 59 degrees because they think they're hot.
Yeah.
The reality is their brain is telling them that. But if they do any technical studies on their body during the night with any technology, they'll know that they're actually freezing. So what happens is we'll put them at perfect sleeping condition. Therefore, we'll get them out of light sleep because most people wake up or they're in light sleep because they're tossing and turning because they're too hot or too cold. This will regulate their body temperature, put them into deep sleep, into REM sleep. So the whole thing is that if we can get them 15 minutes more of quality sleep, not additional night, just a night, then their chances of dementia, Alzheimer's, which has been well noted, will reduce. It's not going to take away. But really, the key is the operational readiness of them, and sleep is such a big factor. So there are people within the military that have done studies on us, special forces units in branches of military, that have seen that there's been up to an hour of additional quality sleep in our gear than out of it when it comes to the sleepwear. And sleep's such a massive part
Yeah.
of their mental part of their health.
Yeah. And to kind of quote Matt Frazier, who was a, multi-time CrossFit champion, he had always said that if you could bottle up or make, an injectable or a pill form of sleep, that it would end up being banned because of how good it is for you. So being able to, and we were talking beforehand, like, I travel a lot, you're traveling a lot. So being able to travel with these in hotels, because a lot of these hotels, especially, in Vegas, they're going to cap what your room is going to be at.
Yeah.
So, traveling and being able to have something like this and get into that homeostasis, is pretty sweet.
Yeah, and it's, a lot of people look at it and go, "Hey, there's voodoo behind it." There's 200 pages of clinical data on the technology. The FDA has deemed it as a medical device through wellness. Um, we always tell all of our customers, before you knock it, try it. And I've received calls, and kind of the great part of the job is I received calls that were doubters or haters about it. One quick story is there's a there's a multi-star general who has massive sleep problems, that sleeps 3 or 4 hours a day, probably mostly because of his job. But his quality of sleep is terrible. He tracks his sleep through a device, and he called me on a Saturday on as you know, on a 000 number, and I didn't even know who it was. And he goes, "You drugged me," and I didn't know who it was at the time. And I go, "What are you talking about? Who is this?" So he told me who it was, and I said, "We didn't drug you. There's no drugs in it. It just actually worked." But the thing out of it, what he told me is that he had the best sleep he has in 19 years, and he had
Jeez.
positive dreams for the first time in 19 years during all of his deployments.
Right.
So therefore, right there, if we can help that mental aspect a little bit, that's great. So what he did is he then put it on a lot of his guys in his command. And what he got out of it was, because they were getting more quality sleep, they were more operational ready.
Yeah.
So he goes, there's alcohol factors, there's caffeine factors, there's all kind of factors. But when it comes down to it, what I try to stress is, and I'm a non-military person, so I'm not going to speak from experience. All I can tell you is that the guys have told me that if you're in less pain, your sleep's better, you're not broken as much, then you're more operational ready. When we're talking about this kind of stuff, the men and women in the military are talking about life and death at times. Yeah, we sell to the NBA, the NFL, almost over 200 college teams in our compression. That's fine. That's great. But what our focus is, and how do we repair the broken men and women of the U.S. military? So if they get in a dogfight with somebody, that they're not broken, they're not a step slower, they didn't sleep well, all those factors that end up to be catastrophic at some time versus playing a game.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're talking about life and death decisions out there. Depending on which community you're talking about. So it's definitely important. And So I'm just now retiring, right? Technically still in, but I'm on what they call terminal leave. And so I'm 43 and I am old. Like in terms, I'm not really old, but in terms of the military and in the special operations community, I'm old. And so being able to have this kind of stuff, whether it's good sleep or whether it's protecting the musculoskeletal system, um, staying great on your physical fitness and all that kind of stuff will help, you know, maintain that longevity of staying healthy, good sleep, and all that kind of stuff, and then overall help operational readiness.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, we've been fighting this good fight for a long time, and I'm glad that, as I call you guys are warrior athletes. So when it comes to that, how are they taking care of the human weapon system? And the human weapon system, in my view, controls the tactical weapon system, because as you go, so does your tactical readiness. So with that, it's the nonstop of how do we get the U.S. military seeing, and they're starting to see it now for sure. The Army set up H2F and palmed it over to PEO Soldier. The Air Force is really looking at it. Um, so it's really getting there. Obviously, in my view, never fast enough because we're here to help people. Um, but we're going to get there one day, and there's going to be more focus on that because the reality is that, as you know, is there's fewer people coming in the military. There's an attrition rate that's at an all-time high, and there's a musculoskeletal and there's an undeployable rate that's probably at an all-time high.
Yeah.
So with all those factors together, like, the big thing is Aura Ring has been a big implementation and spent millions of dollars, which is a great device and wonderful device. But what are you going to do with that information? We feel we have two of the biggest issues in the military when it comes to human weapon system. We have that to take that data where the person's deficient in and helping them. So, for example, there's like yourself in some communities, there's some guys that are older that are beat up. I always get, where was this 10 or 15 years ago? I
Yep.
get it all the time. And so now it's like, I'm broken. I really don't want to be 100% disabled because I know what that's going to feel like, or I do know what that feels like now. And if we could start that, maybe not at the very beginning, but at once a guy's committed and we know you're going to get through basic training or whatnot, start giving them a human weapon system kit, whether it has some of our stuff, some of the other stuff that's great in the human performance world, and actually take care of these guys on a day in and day out basis. Because at the end of the day, what I feel is going to be, at the end of the day, all the way through your career to the VA, there's going to be a lot of money that's saved. I mean, there's a command right now that spends $121 million a year. They're not that big on rehabbing musculoskeletal injuries. So they did a study on us. We had nothing to do with it. And I said, our average to reduce injury and pain is 30%. I met with the leadership that came back to me and he goes, you lied to me. And I go, okay, was it 25? He goes, no, it was 80.
Jeez.
And then you take that and they go, we want it, we want it. And now it's about policy and how you get it through. So it's all those factors. So we feel that we know through our years and years of doing this. And people look at our compression and go, oh, I can get that from Lululemon or Nike or Adidas and or Under Armour. Those are all fantastic companies, but they don't do what we do. There's no medical grade graduated compression that does what we do. And we own patents. Our fabric's proprietary. We built it for the warrior athlete in mind. And we made adjustments when we got into the military market years and years ago about, because you have different body types than, let's say, a basketball player, or
I have a
so
much different body type than a basketball player. I'm
you
5'4".
you do. So we've quickly understood that, and we made adjustments because we listened to you guys. Because even though how wonderful um, the team business is and how great it is, it's really not our focus. It's really, we love those guys and it's important and people love to watch them and all that stuff. But where we get our satisfaction at when we get letters from service members that said, "Hey, you know, I've gone through this bad time. I was on deployment. I got blown up. We've gotten stuff that, hey, I can't even lift a Coke can now. Like my body's trashed because the roadside bomb and all this. And my PT, my unit gave me your stuff, and it literally changed my life."
Yeah.
And that's what we're here for. That's for us, that's the money one.
Yeah, and you're never going to prevent all those kind of things, IEDs, parachute accidents, and stuff like that. But if you can prevent the kind of wear and tear overall, or after those events do happen, you can use the kind of compression stuff and then the IR sleepwear to get better. That's all. But I 100% agree with you in the way that I think we've got to change the way that it's either a mentality change or maybe a policy change. But talking about the money saved in the long run in terms of disabilities and that kind of stuff, and then the healthcare. So, you have, and I'll just say me, this isn't a factual or true or anything like that, but say I'm broken, but I have something that is chronic pain, like just say it's like my back, right? I have chronic back pain. And sure, I could go to pain management and I could get medication or get injections or something like that, but I'm never really trying to address a problem. I'm just slapping a band-aid on it. Whereas if, and I'm not saying this is a solution, but say the VA gave me a voucher for like they issued me stuff, like some defense stuff, but then they also provided me a voucher to go to a yoga studio, a local yoga studio that would pay for 3 sessions a week. And if I didn't use it, then okay, then I would lose those vouchers. But as long as I was using the vouchers, I could potentially see my back getting better. It may not be back to 100%, but that pain management would help. That way I don't have to get on injectables or any kind of long-term pain management stuff. And yeah, the cost up front, you're right, would be, heavy. But I think in the long run, when we start talking about, what the VA pays out and what the Defense Department pays out to its retirees or people that have separated, it's a massive number.
Oh, it's billions of dollars. And look, our compression is, I'm not going to play it off like, hey, we're going to take care of your problems, they'll go away. We are an
Right.
aid. We're an aid, right? We're an aid to help reduce pain. The biggest thing we get back is somebody who's gone through a long day, training hard, whatever they're doing. They'll use our stuff in training, then they'll use our recovery compression because they're two different compressions ratings. So from that standpoint, though, they're like, hey, I'm sore. I'm a 7 or 8 or 9 soreness wise in pain. And they use us and they're 2 or 3. There's what I'm talking about. So you're going to reduce the pain levels. But when you go about the cost and you go about your statement that you made, Peaches, there's no question. My thing, and I know I get a lot of heat for saying this, but I'm probably not going to stop saying it. Stop admiring the problem.
Yeah.
There is a problem, and a consistent problem, that I know Capitol Hill is probably not happy with the amount of money that the government spends on rehabbing musculoskeletal injuries. I mean, the unit I was telling you about, the command, that spends $121 million just to rehab musculoskeletal injuries. If we can save them 30% of the money, that's great. It's 30, $40 million, whatever. But you're seeing 30% less patients and they're not going to be broken. So that is the big thing and kind of what got us started in the first place. Because I went down to Bud Schoolhouse and had a meeting with them, and it lasted about 5 minutes because they said that, oh, I get it, I get compression, but it's gonna pussify our guys. I'm like, what? And this was almost a decade ago, right?
Oh, okay. I was gonna say this couldn't have been recently,
No,
right?
this was like a decade ago. And I go, okay, well, how broken are all you guys in this room? Oh, well, we're broken. We're older. We're this and that. I go, then why don't you guys try it? And then if you try it and you see what I'm talking about, so wear it for a week in your workouts and your recovery, take it away for a week, see how your body reacts. And if it doesn't work for you, you never have to hear from me again. They called me like 9 days later and go, you need to get down here.
I
What
don't
they
know what you're doing right now, but you need to stop it and get down here.
what they figured out is that they can recover better and faster using our stuff. Therefore, for them, they could pound the guys harder. That's their mentality, right? And so it's all about the recovery cycle. So you're 100% right going back to, hey, a voucher for yoga, a voucher for whatever strength training you have, rehab you have. The thing is that they don't look at they I think they that everybody looks at a cost associated with it instead of a cost savings. Yeah, there's a bunch of money up front. There's no question buying our product, there's a bunch of money up front. But at the end of the day, what they've gotten out of it is a lower injury rate, a lower undeployable rate, and a healthier person in the military, not only physically, but mentally. And we talk about if you're at home, Peaches, and you're broke, how's your family life going to be?
Yeah.
Very good. How's your sleep going to be? Not very good. So we're an aid to help you guys through that. And that's all we profess is that. So I think you're right on. I think, we have to look at the health of the men and women of the forces. I know there was a study that came out or a paper that came out from executives in branches of the military talking about the number one reason people are leaving early is because they know they're not being taken care of.
Mm.
That's, for me, pretty crazy, but I understand it's a big government, a big military, and we're here to support. That's all we're here for, is to support the men and women.
Yeah. And kind of, you used a word or a couple of words earlier that resonated with me, just in the way that not everybody has this mentality, and specifically like kind of the Air Force. And you said that, the human weapon system. And yeah, we are very used to that term in special operations. I think it probably resonates a little bit more in the Army as well. But the Air Force, we are admittedly very shiny object thing. We think, okay, well, if I can get this new jet, or I can get this new missile, or this new bomb, or this new rocket, or new gun, or whatever the new shiny thing is, like, it'll make me more lethal. But I never, or I rarely address the actual common denominator, which is me. I am the common denominator. So it doesn't matter if that jet can fly that much better, or this weapon can fire that much better, if I am still the same and just deteriorating at that same time. So we've got to have a mind shift within the Air Force and all the services. Is our most important asset is the human, is the person. So let's invest in them, whether it's taking care of musculoskeletal stuff, sleep, their education, income, like all those things. Let's take care of this person. And then when we start talking about the retention issue that you brought up, and to include recruitment, like you make it to the point where people struggle to say, no, I'm out. Like and if people, it's like, it's the golden egg, like, oh man, I got to go do this. I got to go serve so that I can get all these kind of, not benefits. I don't like that word, but all this goodness. Right. So how did you find your way into apparel stuff anyway?
Um, so a very long time ago, I worked at a college as an internship. I worked at the Los Angeles Kings, and it was during the Gretzky era.
Oh,
And so
nice.
I'm aging myself very much, very much. And I was always around the Lakers office, and it's really a silly story. And back in the day, I don't know if you remember, the NBA players used to wear really short shorts.
Yeah.
And so there's guys on the team in the Lakers that I was hearing going, why are we making these short shorts? Can somebody make a longer short? And I'm like thinking, how hard is it? I knew nothing about the industry, zero. So I'm in college going, hey, I got a bright idea. I'm going to start making 9-inch shorts. And so I gave them to some of the players, and they loved them. And, I started one of my first companies off of that and built, you know, more comfortable athletic shorts back in the day, forever ago. And kind of just spawned from there. And then, my business and partner and I have done a couple other ventures, and moved on from that, and then started this. So it's been a long road. I used to be a manufacturer for Adidas overseas. in another life, because I've been doing this a long time. But then just landed on this, and this is honestly the best thing and the most rewarding thing I've ever done in my life, is us having the opportunity to work with all the different military branches, from everybody from leadership all the way down. I think what they're doing now is they're trying to figure out how to get there for the human weapon system. And I think some of the branches, I think including the Air Force, is taking it seriously, and they're doing a good job. It just takes time,
Yeah.
and it's never fast enough. It's and for us who know that we can help you in the Air Force, and it gets frustrating when we go, yeah, but there's this hurdle and that hurdle. But why does there have to be that hurdle? And I get it. It's all about money and budgets, because there's a lot of important things around the world that we have to do. But for us and where we sit, there's nothing more important than the human body.
Yeah, well, I agree. So that's pretty wild. You're the one responsible for longer shorts
Yeah,
in the NBA.
in a weird way, yes. And then a lot of companies took from there and ran with it back in the day, the and ones of the day, and all that stuff. So it was old school generation, but definitely enjoyed the ride. But like I said, this is the most
More
memorable and most fulfilling that we've ever done, because I think we can really make a difference.
Yeah, I think you guys can make a difference as well, and it's exciting to see, and I you're going to receive it way more than we are, but it is nice to whenever somebody does go on to defend and purchase the stuff and then go, hey, like, man, you guys weren't lying. Like we've got a handful of kind of partners that we advertise for and we do ad reads for and that kind of stuff, and a lot of times people are like, you know, okay, sure, it's an ad read. You guys probably don't, like Hoist is one of them, right? And people are like, yeah, okay, whatever. Well, we had an event 2 weeks ago, and we brought a bunch of this out, and they hadn't had it before, and they tore it up. I brought 3 boxes out, I think, and in the first 24 hours, most of it was gone. They're like, yeah, you guys weren't kidding about this. I'm like, yeah, dude, we're not going to sit here and talk about something that we don't like or don't believe in, So yeah, so we get the same thing whenever people buy Defend and hit us up and go like, man, you guys weren't lying about this. It's really nice.
Yeah, and for us, it's the biggest challenge. I actually love is when people go, well, I've worn Nike, I've worn Adidas, I've worn all this, or sleepwear. What's this voodoo and all this stuff? And we put our money where our mouth is. We do a lot of T&E, and we understand that we're not putting on a basic cotton T-shirt. So we understand that there needs to be validation, and we appreciate that, and we understand that the military drives off of data and drives off of personal experiences. And so that's what we do, is like, we're invested into this. We're not going anywhere. We're invested into this heavily. We are just here as an aid, again, to help the men and women. And I think the military across the board, the branches, is as well, for sure, as the Air Force, is starting to see what we've been talking about for years.
Yeah, and I can tell you one of the things that we really like is, especially, we were talking beforehand, we're out in Vegas. Other than today, of course, because it's raining, it's generally fairly hot out here. So we're out there on the range, calling in airstrikes and that kind of stuff, doing training, running up and down mountains and stuff like that. And you're I don't you guys don't call it this. You call it the tactical shield neck sun shirt, but we always call them rugby shirts.
Uh,
Um and they're so nice being able to use that, very breathable, running up and down the mountains with a ruck on, with body armor on. And so it's, although it's not a recovery, it's more of your tactical line of tops. Like, it's awesome. So thanks for making that.
Oh no, for sure. And the interesting part about so we have many divisions of our company when it comes to the apparel side. So we do what we've talked about, our compression and our sleepwear. We also do a customized training line, which is from sun shirts to, we have a what we call a dry fit type of shirt that has fuse, that it's a lifetime antimicrobial. You can be in it a week and a half and it'll never stay straight.
Nice.
To building the shorts that are needed, customize it. We do everything. So we do a lot of logos for a lot of different commands and all the branches, including the Air Force that we do for, and the sun shirt, and what we call a sun shirt. You guys are out in the sun a lot, obviously, and we've been told there's a higher risk now of skin cancer in the military, and there's more cases of it. So it was an item we brought out years ago. We do sell a lot of it, and we're glad that everybody's enjoying it from that standpoint. And we actually got started. Funny enough, we got started in our whole training gear line from the Air Force. We
Really?
Yeah, we were at Lackland and we sat down with some people, and they just wanted a better short, a training short. That was it. So we go, okay, we'll talk to them about their training short and see how many, what we can do to help them. It turned into probably a 4-hour meeting, and it turned into probably 10 different styles that they wanted. It turned into That's how we got started in the training gear. It was the Air Force.
No
And
way.
so we continue to do stuff. We continue to develop. We listen to our customer, what the needs are. We no longer make what we think you guys need. We make what we are told is a critical miss, or a miss in their loadout kit, is that they don't have a deficiency. So that's what we do. So for example, um, we just recently came out with at SHOT Show, which is a seamless mesh wool base layer. So the Norwegians have used this for decades.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
So we just showed it at SHOT Show. So it's a very compliant mesh wool, US wool, made here, and there's no seam. The only seams in it is we had to change the waistband, so there is a seam in the waistband. But other than that, is completely seamless. The reviews we've gotten, it turned into a frenzy at SHOT Show because people have been waiting for it for decades, and they've been buying it from the brands over in Norway and other places. Well, now they can buy it here, and so it's a brand new product, but we're really excited to bring it because we listened again what was needed. A lot of work went in on it with our partners that we partnered up with to do it, and we're excited to bring it out. And we've shown a lot of people in the last 2 weeks after SHOT Show, and it's been something where, hey, we definitely need this in our cold weather,
Yep.
because the Norwegians have gone from, essentially, from what I'm told, a 7-layer system down to like a 4-layer system because of the mesh wall brings so much to their base layer.
Yeah.
And so we're excited about it, and we're hopefully that everybody's going to enjoy it. And so far, it's been really good.
No, I can 100% get behind this because I spent a lot of time over in Norway doing winter training, and we always used to call this disco shirts because for American culture, right? It is a little bit weird, right? You've got this kind of, because in your mind you've got this kind of weird disco dude that's coming up with a mesh shirt. You can see his nipples. You're like, like it's a little weird for
Yeah.
American culture, but you put this shirt on, and the way the mesh works, from my caveman understanding about it, is that it just creates these little air pockets at each one of the that's heated by your body, but these air pockets over each one of the holes in the mesh. And we would be out there, doing cross country skiing and stuff like that, working hard, but then stopping and kind of letting the body cool down. And all we would wear would be these shirts and a shell.
Yeah.
That's it. And we would stay warm, cool enough because we could zip it down and just let it breathe. Phenomenal. And the fact that you guys are making these here in the US, and it's US made, like, this is fantastic.
Yeah, we're super excited about it. It's a lot of work has gone into it from our partners, and to develop it, and the machinery, and one of the biggest, most probably things that have been untrue about the wool industry in the US is that, oh, there's no wool to make product like this in the US. There's not enough sheep, right? You can go over to Europe and see sheep lined up like humans.
Yeah.
Here it's been a, I think, a struggle back in the day, but it's not anymore. We have the more capacity to get wool than is needed. I know that for a fact, talking to big program offices and whatnot and what they're looking for. So we're going to have it. It's going to be a ramp up. It's a process to do all this to start because we have to get the wool in. And it takes a long time. We have to start the chain of process of production, and we're really targeting with everybody winter 25. So again, we're really excited about it and grateful to bring it out to the military because we think it's going to be a really great product for them.
Yeah, I agree. And so our demographic is like 17, 16, 17 through 35, 40-year olds. And so like there's varying check account or bank account sizes in there. So like if you had somebody who was training for any kind of special forces pipeline, Green Berets, SEALs, Air Force Special Warfare, like what would be kind of the one or two pieces of kit out of your inventory to go like, listen, if you could only buy one thing, maybe two things, like what would you get?
Well, I can go through probably the top four products and then narrow it from there. So
Sure.
within the military, it's been very widely that our compression short, um, you know, depends on what you're doing, right? Um, but chafing is always a big issue, right? Cellulitis is always a big issue in training. Um, our reduction of chafing and cellulitis in our compression short is next to none. It's fantastic, and a lot of people have been using it in the military for quite a long time with those great results. The other thing is I think the recovery tights, just because, like you mentioned, you go out and train. Most people go out and train military, then they go sit at a desk. And then what happens then? Well, what happens is if they just sit there with their pair of shorts or the uniform on, is their body starts swelling because blood starts pooling and it slows down. It's called DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness. It's very well known about it. So our recovery tights will not allow that to happen because it's pushing the blood flow down to your venous return, which is at your ankle, back up to your heart. So it reduces the swelling, the edema you'll have. So you're not standing up going, oh God, I feel stiff and sore. You're not going to feel that the next day. And so that's really what it does. The other thing is, especially in the Air Force community, a lot of pilots,
Yeah.
is our compression shirt. So a lot of people in the military are forward rolling, right? Because they're rucking, they're in a jet, whatever they're doing. And so they have a lot of pressure on their neck and their shoulders. So they get a lot of neck and shoulder impingements. So we developed years ago a patented shirt that's going to push the shoulders back. So it's a little bit of a posture shirt. It's going to put your shoulders at a neutral position. And then what it's going to do, it's going to release those possible impingement points from happening. And so we actually did some testing in the Air Force with pilots, and that after they got out of the aircraft, because we're not FR in our compression, so you can't wear it in the jet.
Mm,
But afterwards, they come out because all the G's they're pulling, they're already, if you watch them come out, they're already rolled forward and they're a mess and their body's trashed from all the vibration. They put this shirt on, and what they've told us, like the next day, they're like, I don't have the pain I used to have because the shoulder releases all that tension, puts me back in a neutral position, and I don't have any neck, any shoulder from the standpoint of I'm used to. It'll still be there a little bit, but it gets away a lot and become a big hit within this small little pilot communities that have tested it out and what has happened. So, and the thing is, when you're talking about a 17-year-old kid, Peaches, what's their answer? Look at me. I'm 17. I don't have any problems.
I'll just deal with it.
Well, we get that in the NBA. I'll never forget. I won't name the NBA player and embarrass him because he's still in the league now. But he was playing, and we were talking to him, and I was with the trainer. And he goes, "Hey, everybody's going to get this from now." And the guy goes, "Look at me. I'm 22. Look at my body. I don't need this." What happened? The next day he gets hurt.
Oh no.
Hey, do you got any of that stuff? Yeah, we got you. He's been in it ever since. He's been in the league, I think, 15 years.
Jeez.
So it's all those things. You don't think about a 17, 18, 22-year old that I'm broke, right? Oh, I'm not broke. I'm fine. They don't think longevity.
Yeah.
But you got to take care of your body at the beginning of your career.
Yeah. Absolutely. The you had mentioned F4. Is that the like fire retardant?
Yeah, so our FR base layer. So we have another division that sells a lot to DoD fire and fire people. So it's a base layer FR shirt that's no melt, no drip. The shirt never fades and it doesn't shrink, and it lasts about 2 or 3 years before you even, if you have it screen printed, before you even know it's even worn. It will never fade, so it looks brand new the whole time. So we have units within the military that use it for their training shirt now. The FBI just started using it on a long sleeve for at the gun range because it's highly breathable. We have cool. It's called cool germ technology. So what it is, if you're out in the Vegas heat shooting, it will pull the sweat off your body, off the fabric out. So the reduction of pooling sweat in your shirt
Mm,
is really non-existent. So firefighters in their world, they're kind of like you guys. You guys got a bunch of gear on and you're hot. They have their turnouts on and they're hot. They're like a baked potato in an oven. Well, they've been wearing cotton t-shirts and that's like a baked potato in an oven. So since we developed our shirt about 8 years ago, they've gotten rid of the cotton t-shirt and gone to this because they don't have any heat related illnesses. When we first started, we have one of our largest customers in the fire space. They had 16 heat related illnesses, had nothing to do with the fire because they were basically cooking themselves from the inside out. So at the range, this is another great product to use your shooting range. You're out in the heat, you want to use it under your gear. It's a great piece to use, and more people within the training community of the military are really starting to look at it as a base layer. I think it's one of our best products we make from a wickable product standpoint. Now, most people don't need FR. I get it, but it's always there.
yeah, I mean, what's great is you got men and women too, but um, I admittedly I didn't really look at the fire stuff
Yep.
because I was like, well, I'm not a firefighter, right? I don't need the fire stuff. I was sticking in with the tactical and the infrared stuff, but yeah, this is great.
Yeah, so I think again we're just listening to our customer base. We started out you know in the military. We're going to leave this company in the military. We're not going to change who we are, regardless of the size of the company we are become down the road. Um, our focus and our mission set is to taking care of the men and women who protect us. And that's the bottom line. And we'll always go and find the next best development of fabrics that we can do down the road to help the men and women. And, when we first started this company, I think one of the best things about us is that we're a small company, we're nimble, we have great manufacturing, and we can do these smaller batches and we can customize pieces because your needs in your unit might be different from the needs next door, right? And so there's a lot of adjustment and that is needed on a product, and we're willing to do that because at the end of the day we never look at the bottom line of our dollar. What we do is that how are we going to help the development of products so they can use them out in the field so they're safe, they're effective. And a long time ago we stopped going, hey, we know what they need. We didn't have a clue. We didn't have a clue what you needed until we started listening about 7 or 8 years ago. And that's kind of what's propelled us. And so we have about, I don't know, 20 to 30 projects all the time going on in development for the military because there's a hole in the requirements that they need that nobody can do that we're willing to tackle and spend our money on that there's no guarantee that it'll ever lift off.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna switch gears real quick and be selfish for a minute, because it's not often that we get an entrepreneur on here that a successful entrepreneur who has run multiple businesses and um, and so as somebody like me who's a couple years in and retiring the military, like what is a piece of advice that would you give to me or anybody else that's out there that's kind of wanting to start a business or is in business and kind of is a fledgling trying to flee the nest? Like, what's something that you would advice that you would impart on us?
Well, I'm gonna cheat a little bit and give you advice from my father mainly, who was way more successful, and I'll never touch what he did in the technology industry. But it's really about the end of the day, it's about people, product, and process, right? You have to have the product, obviously, it's got to be a workable product. You have to have the people in place in your company to execute that. And you have to have a process within your company, meaning it might be the process from when you get an order, how you take an order, how it goes through manufacturing, and how it goes through the back door. It's all the internal process. If one of those three fail, you're in trouble. So you always look for what is the need of the process. I mean, I think the best show ever has been Shark Tank to show people the right way or the wrong way how to do things and listen to some of the smartest investors out there. But for me, it's about those things. And as soon as one thing fails in our company, we know to jump on it and try to fix it. And, I think the other thing is for somebody who's going to start a business, I think what I hear a lot is, well, I'm scared. What if I fail? What is failure? Failure is just a word. That's it. How many people, great people in this country, in the history of this country, have failed 5, 10, 15, 20 times,
Yeah.
you know, and look where they are now. Look where they were. Um, it's just the American way. You have to have trust in yourself that you know what you do and you build a product that and do a lot of it's hard to hear negative about a product, but do a lot of user testimonials and feedback and sit down with them and go, what do you like about our product? What don't you like about our product? Do some brainstorming sessions with a group of 10 people and go, how can I improve it? The thing I learned in my first company was I was a young kid out of college. I thought I knew everything.
Didn't we all?
Did I get slapped in the face quickly? Because you need a team of people. You can't do it by yourself. It's impossible. The people that do end up burning themselves out and failing. So for those that are out there that want to start a business, my suggestion is the three P's and go for it, because you never know what's going to happen. You might come across the next best thing.
Yeah. No, I dig it. And you're exactly right about the failure thing. Is like you can't be afraid to fail. But at the same time, if you could see, like, there was a cool little diagram that I saw that where it had all these really successful people that everybody knows the names to, right? Your Elon Musk, your Bezos, stuff like that. And it talks about like what everybody sees right now in 2024, 2025 is like, okay, you've got the successful Tesla, SpaceX, Amazon, all that kind of stuff. What you didn't see was all the failures along the way, and failed business ventures, failed processes, failed personal interactions, failed email messages going to people, failed meetings. You don't see all that. All you see is the end product right now. And it's a misconception, and especially in a world that's social media where people can take 50 pictures of themselves or 50 pictures of an event and then scroll through, maybe add a filter, and then, hey, that's what I'm showing the world is the best one. They don't see that where you've got a messed up face and all this kind of stuff. It's
No, I mean, look at Amazon. Amazon's a great example. They lost over $100 million a quarter for 7 years, but nobody remembers that now. I mean,
yeah.
it's look at Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was 2 weeks away from back in the day from closing what was then Apple. I mean, there's all kinds of stories. If you look at Bill Gates and his and it goes on and on and on.
Mm-hmm.
The success stories are, if you go look at the people that are super uberly successful, goes back to my point. They weren't scared of failing. They just kept on getting after it. If that didn't work, they got on to the next thing and the next thing until it worked. You have to believe in yourself. Look, you believed in your ability the whole time you've been in the military, Peaches, that you can do a job on a drop of a dime because you've been trained to do it. It goes back to, hey, the process, right? The people, the product. And that at the end of the day will get you far as long as you stay on task. And don't worry about what the outsiders say. Trust what you're doing and believe in what you're doing and execute it. It's not easy. It's look, I work 24/7. My wife says the last time my husband dropped his phone and sat it down was, I don't know, 10 years ago, but it's the life I live. I don't know any different than that. I try to do my best to shut down when I need to, but the reality of the life of an entrepreneur is just that. It's that you're married to your business and you try to find your happy life with your family and your kids and your wife, and you do the best job you can. But for me, my focus every day when I wake up is what I've said many times before on this is just how can I help? How can I help the men and women? I know they're broken out there. I know we have the answers. Let's keep on grinding it. Let's keep on doing it. And we're doing it. And I think the great leadership of this military and the Air Force is listening to what's going on. And I think we're going to get there sooner than later and start helping a lot of people. Yeah, it's a lot of money up front, but it's the end game that it's going to reap the benefits of what's going on. Because if you can save all this money and you can save people, more importantly, who are the asset, that's the whole key. So um, most people don't get into Peaches, don't become an entrepreneur. They take a 9 to 5 job because they're scared.
Yeah.
You got one life.
That's,
Roll it. You're in
that's right.
Vegas. You're in Vegas, right? Peaches, roll it. Let's go.
I mean, there's one thing for sure. I will end up with some kind of snake eyes at some point, but hey, right now I'm all right.
That's okay. And I think the biggest thing too is that, military like yourself, when you're about to get out, it's and I don't know from experience, but I got to believe it's a lost feeling, right? Where do I
Yeah.
fit? Where do I go? What am I going to do? Because all I've known is I've been told to do this, this, and this, and I've followed my career. I tell people in the military, reach out to people like us. Reach out to industry that you've seen over and over again at a trade show or you've used your equipment. Reach out to us and go, hey, do you have an opportunity? Where can I fit in? I'm always willing and able to talk to anybody who served in the military to help them out in any way I can. We just hired a retired Air Force personnel into our company that I'm really excited about. He's been 2 months on the job, and you think you got to reach out to industry that because what you guys know best is what you've been trained for, right?
Yep.
So, but you also, the thing is about being an entrepreneur is you've seen all the shortcomings companies have made in product and going, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You just need to make it a little better,
Yeah, that's
right?
100% right.
And so you guys have the knowledge. You're the one with the knowledge. So execute that knowledge. And, sometimes reach out to, everybody goes, well, I don't have any money to start. You don't need that much money to start. We started on a shoestring and developed because we didn't want to go get those lavish offices and spend and give up equity and do all the
Yeah.
Shark Tank stuff, right? We're very humble in what we do. And, but I think you guys are the experts. Go into the field, what you do best.
Yeah.
And I think you'll be successful.
No, I appreciate that. And I got nothing to follow that up with. That was a good, for me, that was a good, you know, um, kind of pat on the back, like, hey, you're doing all right, hang in there, kind of thing. Not that we're failing or anything like that, but it's more of just a like, hey, everybody sees it. Hey, when's this going to happen? When are things going to take off? And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And maybe it's just not this venture. Maybe it's something else. So it's good. So, well, Steve, I do appreciate you joining us on this. First and foremost, thank you for your support of the military. And man, I gotta say, I love the fact that you said America so many times in this conversation, because I think that that's something that has been lost over the years. So, like, I'm a big America guy, so I dig it, and I'm glad you are. And thanks for supporting the military and everything that you have done for the military, and then obviously. Um, Helping the kind of veteran community as you have, like hiring Air Force guys and that kind of stuff. And then for everybody else out there, head over to DFNDUSA.com. We do have a promo code One's Ready to get yourself a discount. Check out some of the IR sleepwear, some of the tactical stuff. And then if you're a firefighter or law enforcement or military, check out the fire stuff too. So any parting shots, Steve?
No, thank you for your service.
No,
And
of course.
thanks for all the men and women. Thanks for having me on that protect us every day. And just know that we're going to continue fighting the fight, and we're going to get there one day to help you, so you're not as broken, so you can live a great life that you deserve. And thanks for having me on. It's been a treat. And anytime you need anything, I'm always here, and help your community at any time.
Awesome. Thank you. Everybody out there, thanks for watching. Later.